As a mom abroad, one of my biggest concerns is to find the balance between providing my kids with a sense of stability and a connection to their roots, while at the same time helping them to adjust to the local culture and become open minded global citizens. If you too are raising third culture kids, I'm sure you can relate. And that's why in this video, I'd like to share some original ideas and inspirations with you that will help your globally mobile or multicultural family grow stronger and flourish wherever you are. Hi, welcome back. My name is Camilla Quintana, and I'm a certified life and relationship coach specializing on women who moved abroad. And this video goes out to all the moms out there who are raising their kids between countries and cultures, just like I do, and who are looking for some inspiration on how they can combine it all. So, my first inspiration is multicultural bedtime stories. And this is especially great if you have smaller children. My boys are really into garbage trucks. So, one of the first things they noticed when we moved out here is that the garbage trucks are green and not orange like they are back home. And that was just fascinating to them. So, I came up with the story of an Austrian garbage man who moved to the Basque Country just like we did, and who was just really confused at first because he didn't understand the language of his coworkers. He didn't know what to put in which container because, again, the colors are different. And that just leads to some very funny incidents. So you see, stories like this can really normalize the challenges related to adapting to a different environment and ease the impact of culture shock. Just one thing, make sure not to, transmit any negative judgment that you might have about your host culture to your children because they really need and deserve a chance to integrate well and with an open mind into their new environment. And as we all know, being able to successfully navigate between different cultures and languages is so beneficial to our children. It'll, improve their problem solving skills. It'll broaden their horizon. It'll open so many doors for them professionally and personally. So it is really something that we want to foster in them and help them achieve. And stories like this can contribute to that. My second inspiration is cultural theme nights. Now, family dinners are the best tradition, and especially when everyone's off to their respective offices and appointments and schools and kindergartens during the day, there is so much power in coming together over a shared meal and just to be able to talk about your day with each other or different things on the agenda. And food is also such an important part of our cultural heritage. And we all have our favorite national dish or even our favorite dish from the country we're currently living in, right? So I propose organizing cultural theme nights where you don't only cook a food of a culture that plays a role in your family, but you also put the music on, you decorate the place accordingly, you create this whole cultural experience, and that's a great way to pass on traditions and to share stories from, your family, your ancestors, your time in the country, anything that comes to mind that will help your kids, get a better sense of what the culture is like, of what living in this culture is like. So for instance, I have this handwritten recipe book by my grandmother, and my boys, they love helping me form dumplings, Austrian dumplings, and I'll tell them a story like, for instance, how I went into labor with my firstborn while eating those dumplings. Next on the list are multicultural family playlists. Now, when I was growing up, music was my world, and being able to listen to my favorite songs with others made me feel so connected to them. If this happens to you too or to your children, you're gonna love this next idea because I propose creating a joint family playlist where each family member can add songs, from the different countries you lived in different languages, whatever makes sense to each and every one of you, and this will not only create this beautifully new blended soundtrack to your family story, it'll also avoid those fights in the car over which music to play. And it'll avoid everyone putting their own headphones on and just drifting away solo. But again, very important, no judgment, no rolling your eyes over the other one's choice of music, because this is really about creating something together and everybody's input is welcome here and has room. My next advice is related to strengthening the bond to your spouse or to your significant other. You see, what I notice with a lot of multicultural couples is that they get easily stuck on a pain point. Now, that's certainly true for all couples, but especially when one or both partners are living abroad and come from a different culture, those pain points can get magnified and they just feel so much more intense. So, my advice is to shift the focus off of them for now, because you see, not everything needs to be discussed and agreed on in the moment. As a matter of fact, sometimes attempting to do so can create an even greater distance between the spouses that will make it even harder to overcome the problem. So, my advice is to agree to disagree for the time being. I'm not saying forever, but for the time being, until you are in a more loving place. Because guess what? When you are in a more loving place, it's much easier to find constructive and win-win solutions to your problems. Now, how do you get to a loving place? Well, one of the things that you can do is to focus on the things that already work well or pretty well in your relationship. And then to do those even more, more frequently in a more special way, whatever it is. It might be, doing sports, going to the theater, being outside in nature, being with your kids. Just focus on those things that already work well and make them even better. And you'll notice that as you increase those moments of connection, those moments of trust and understanding and fun and lightheartedness between you guys, some of the problems you've had, they might have even become less of a deal, or at least it'll be much easier to talk about them and to find a constructive solution for them. The next thing I want to talk about is gratitude. Now, gratitude isn't just for expats and families abroad, but it is one of the most powerful happiness boosters. So I just had to include it in this list. You see, you can't feel grateful and grumpy or mean at the same time. It doesn't work. So, especially when you're dealing with different cultures and changing environments, incorporating a gratitude practice into your daily life can be a great way to train your mind to start looking for things to be grateful for throughout the day. And that, my friends, will not only fill you up with positive vibes and positive energy, but it will actually help you to develop a mindset with which you'll start appreciating things that you wouldn't even have noticed before. Also, gratitude makes us feel loved and connected to each other and to the whole world, which is a beautiful thing, especially when we're a stranger in a different country. So it is really one of the healthiest habits you can develop, and I encourage you to teach it to your kids from very early on. So with my kids, for instance, we do 3 things in the evening. We think of 3 things that we're grateful for, no matter how small or how big. And the great thing is that it won't only get easier to find things to be grateful for because your mind will actually start looking for those in order to tell them in the evening, but also it'll, grant you a good night's sleep and you'll wake up the next morning to a brighter world. And finally, I want to talk about the new awareness and consciousness that you get to tap into when you move abroad and you're ripped out of your comfort zone. So I always say that one of the beauties of living abroad is that the standards you typically had for yourself and your family become blurry. So back home you might have felt like you had to do this and you had to wear that and you had to live in a certain way, which probably isn't the case in your new country anymore. And so it's a great opportunity for you to drop some old images and beliefs that you held about yourself, about your marriage, your parenting style, and to just figure out freely what feels good to you and to your family. And this is especially important when parenting. When we stop comparing our children so much to their peers because they're from a different culture or background anyway, so we probably don't do it as much, we create this room in which their authentic selves can unfold. And it also takes pressure off of you as a parent, because back home you might have felt, that you had to impress someone or convince someone of your parenting methods. And unfortunately, a lot of parents, what they do consciously or unconsciously is they use their kids as an extension of their own ego, and they want to validate themselves as a parent through the accomplishments of their children, the good behavior of their children, and so forth. So when you're in this different environment and you don't need to impress anyone, I encourage you to just take a step back and to curiously figure out who your children are away from everything. And you might be surprised. And, accepting and discovering your child's unique spirit and essence is the greatest gift you can give to them. And needless to say, it will make you feel so much more connected to each other. So, I sincerely hope that these ideas will inspire you to create your own unique cross border family culture, and that living abroad will be a truly enriching experience for you and for your whole family. If you enjoyed these ideas, please let me know. Let me know which ones you were able to incorporate into your life, or maybe you have some additional inspirations that you want to share with me and with this community. So please drop them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And remember, wherever you are, I'm here to support you. So I see you soon.